State, Ogun State. My name is Dapo Abiodun. I want to serve you as your next governor. Our state has come a long way and has a long way to go. I promise to give you a focused and qualitative governance while creating the enabling environment for a public-private sector partnership, which is fundamental to the creation of an enduring economic development and individual prosperity of all Ogun citizens. I will not be a governor that will be far from you. I will be equitable in the development of infrastructure across our state. I will pay attention to the development of rural roads. As an accomplished entrepreneur, I will use my skills and contacts to attract more direct investment into our dear state. I will create industrial parks that will generate their own electricity and reduce unemployment. I will create farm settlements across the state that will also employ our teeming youth while feeding our citizens and exporting food to neighboring states. I will serve you honestly and diligently. It is time for us to work together. It's time to put the people first. Vote for me as your next governor, and I promise you an open administration that belongs to all of the people. In the cities, in the towns, in the farmlands, in the villages, and in all the rural communities. My word is my bond, and for me a promise made will always be a promise kept.
Vote Dapo Abiodun as governor of Ogun State.
Oh yes, you're welcome back. Jumoke, your guest is here.
Oh yes, our next guest is here all the way from Ogun State. Join us to welcome Hon Remmy Hassan, spokesperson for the All Progressives Congress Gubernatorial candidate, Ogun State. You're welcome, sir.
It's always my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, you'll be here before.
Yes.
Between the last time you came on this program and now, what's your assessment? Before I asked about elections, what's been the work you've done? What's been the level of acceptability of your candidate?
Yeah, we've covered more ground. We've reached out to more locations. We've been able to assess our preparedness towards March 9th, of course, with what played out on February 23rd. Okay. It gave us a very realistic assessment of how prepared we are. It's really been from good to better, and of course it's going to become best on the 9th of March.
All right, so the election held on Saturday for the senatorial candidates and House of Reps members. Now, how did your party fare in this election?
Brilliantly well.
Even though INEC has not announced, but
all politics is local. INEC is just to put a seal on what has been done at the grassroots. So we have done the needful. We have the result at the various levels, so we know who the winner is, and we don't believe that anything will be different from what has been done at the various grassroots. Talking about the election proper, it was peaceful in most of the locations. A few places where we had the issue of violence were at the point of moving results from one point to another, and I guess the security agencies were up to it. They were able to nip some of them in the bud, and to that extent I think it's a very fair one, and to INEC we say well done, even though on the field proper there were incidences of the, what is it called, card reader failing, and we reached out to the various electoral officers where we had such complaints. Alternative card reader were brought and the situation was saved. That made some locations to vote beyond the 2 p.m. timeline, and that is of course quite understood. So it's a fair one, and we believe that it will get better.
Let me ask, the REC in Ogun State, has it done any announcement of the National Assembly elections?
REC most times don't even have much job to do other than to administer the elections. Every stage of election has a returning officer appointed by INEC and of course deployed to the state. For each federal constituency there is a returning officer. For each senatorial district there is a returning officer, and of course for the presidential election the returning officer is based there in Abuja. So the REC is just to receive all those documents and ensure that they're properly administered. And I think he has done his job fairly well so far. And for some of the federal constituencies declared so far, out of the 9 House of Reps seats, our party took 6. 6 out of it. And that is a statement to those who thought the candidates we fielded will not be able to make a headway. All of the candidates of the governor People Party, the party that came by the reason of whatever it was that they call crisis in APM, all the 9 Federal House of Reps candidates, they were only able to get 1. So, and PDP got 1 as well, and the African Democratic Congress also got 1. So 611, that's the situation. But the 3 senatorial districts is what you see.
Oh, you practically swept it all. How do you swept
it? It's an announcement of what is to come on the 9th of March.
An announcement of what is to come. Now, the issues, we saw the presidential campaign before, prior to the election, and which actually went haywire, and they became, something else. Was that not a threat to the candidates of your party for the gubernatorial election?
If there was any, we never believed it was a threat anyway, because the strategic thinking we did towards the presidential primary actually rally revealed the face of those that are actually violent. We are peaceful, and we exhibited peaceful disposition all through the rally, and many feared that it was going to negatively affect us. But I told them, those who care to listen, that we have been able to successfully remove ourselves from whatever crisis that took place at the stadium that day. And it became, of course, between the governor and his infantile APM. At the end of the day, I just want to use this forum to commend and appreciate our leader, the former governor of the state, Remy Hassan Apc, whose leadership trail helped the sitting governor to win the senatorial election, because all of the anti-party activities that he did will have worked against him. Every voter in Ogun State who was not happy with what happened in the stadium made up their mind to vote against the governor, that he will not win his senatorial seat. It was Chief Oshoba who saved the day, going around begging people, even at that, enlightened voters in most urban polling centers. Go and check the result. The governor lost in almost all those polling centers, save for the rural areas and committed party members who listened to our leader and gave their vote to the government.
Sorry,
another story entirely.
We don't want to trade in this fake news or anything on the social media, but the result out there in the public domain is that the ADC candidate that Remy Hassan Apc threw his weight behind, that's a former speaker of the state, won in Remy Hassan Apc's polling unit.
That's not correct. I don't know where you got that from, but that is absolutely false. Remy Hassan Apc was the one who came out in the open to tell everybody that whatever Governor Ibikunle Amosun must have done that is hurting to many of us party members should be downplayed going into this election, because whatever the result of such day was will have an effect on March 9th. So he was going around appealing to party faithfuls. He couldn't have done that if he's throwing his weight behind anyone. And the polling booth that they are talking about does not in any way represent the polling booth of our revered leader. That suggests to us straight away that he actually did the damage control that helped the governor to win the senatorial seat.
Okay, so what are the things you are telling now? You have about less than 10 days, or let me say 11 days to another election. Now, what are the things that you probably learned from this election 2 days ago that you actually you want to work on to help you in the gubernatorial elections?
Yeah, we have noticed some things. There are things that we will not come on air to discuss, especially when there are core strategies that will help us to win elections. But we've been able to see the areas where we need to do more work. Certain areas where...
Sorry to cut you short. Were you hoping to get just 6 reps? Or
we wanted to get all.
You worked towards getting all?
We worked towards getting all, but we couldn't get all. So those places where we did not do particularly well, we need to revisit those places and check what is the messaging pattern like, what is the content of the message, and how do we ensure that the message is bettered and also helped in reaching to those that need them, so that part of those that have voted against us will be able to salvage some of them and also retain the ones that voted in our favor. Essentially, I think that is the takeaway from February 23rd.
All right, that election has come and gone. Now we are focusing on the 9th of March. Now, once again, I know you've been on the program before and you've talked about the antecedents of the gubernatorial candidate. You've talked about his plan for Ogun State. I think we should just pay some attention on that to let people know that he actually has that state in mind and wishes them well. So what are the immediate challenges that he's going to confront immediately?
At this time, we don't know for sure what our exposures are in Ogun State. I'm talking about indebtedness. And if that is the case, beautiful plans may be impeded by a high degree of indebtedness when reality confronts you. And some of us in the inner caucus of the governor's kitchen cabinet, we're already putting our heads together to see what the plan B would look like, because within the first 6 months of the administration, there should be evidence that the promises made are actually being worked towards fulfillment, not just that we'll start playing the blame game more than doing the job that we've been asked to do. So that aside, we are believing and trusting that the face of the state in terms of economic development is going to be a paradigm shift completely, because the private sector orientation of our candidate is going to rub largely on the state, and many of the places where the potentials are still lying more as latency are going to open up.
Please, could you enumerate further on that public sector image of the candidate?
Private sector.
Private sector. Sorry, private sector.
I told you that that was the last time I came here, and quite a number of our listening audience also had it, that Prince Dapo Abiodun is a private sector success story. He's the chairman of Hidden, one of the leading oil and gas companies in this part of the world, and to a large extent he has done well for himself. All of the ingenuity that translated such a humble background into a success story couldn't have been for nothing if brought into governance. So we are believing that his link, his ideas, his ingenuity, when put into policies of government, will open up the state. Many of our places that are great economic hotbed, still lying in latency, will now begin to get the touch of a private sector oriented person.
I remember you mentioned Olokola.
Olokola, not
Olokola.
Yes, Olokola is a place with dual face. There is the federal government LNG project for that place, which has been put on hold, and essentially because of the brass LNG, which has not taken off. Of course, it makes a lot of sense that if such LNG project should kickstart, we should begin from the very root of where the bulk of the oil is coming from. So if brass takes up, Olokola has hope. However, for the free trade zone dimension to Olokola, that is the one that is within the purview of the state that we can open up. There is prospect for a deep sea port there. I told us the last time that the naturally deep part of that place is the deepest of the Atlantic, where any kind of vessel can sail. Open that place up, you decongest Apapa immediately, and that automatically shifts the base of the economic activities from Apapa to the Ogun State. And that means more job for our people, more money for government, more business activities going on. That's one side of it. That place is completely loaded with bitumen, deposit, the largest bitumen deposit in the entire sub-Saharan Africa. It has not been mined for one day. We cannot afford to continue to keep it there. Now that we are confident that President Buhari will emerge, we are also believing that once Prince Dapo Abiodun emerges, there will be a collaboration between the federal government and our state to start mining that place. And of course, that's 13% for Ogun State. More money. Another dimension to it is that oil has been discovered in that place. To what extent is the deposit? We have not been told. More money needs to be moved in so that the activities of ensuring that the actual quantity of deposit that is there will be known, and we also join the League of Oil Producers, and we also earn more 10%. And the hydrocarbon potentials that are there too. That is just to tell you that if someone has private sector orientation, to translate potentials into reality and wealth will be more of an urgency to him than someone who doesn't have that kind of background. Those are the selling points of our candidate that we believe will translate to prosperity for Ogun State. And the people of Ogun State have been told this much. They know. And that is why today many of them are throwing their weight behind him. After Saturday's election, in some of the communities, once the results came out, they on their own are calling us, please bring us on board. We want to be part of this project. Even from the opposition.
From the opposition.
That tells you straight away that...
Which party would you actually consider opposition in?
It's PDP.
Okay, PDP.
It's PDP. PDP is the only visible opposition. Every other opposition that we have in Ogun State is more of the printed-as class, especially in terms of the stability and survival after election. Some of them are just using the platforms that they have at this time to see if something can come out of contesting elections. Once that is done and dusted, whatever remains of that party goes under.
Okay, now since in your opening earlier you said politics is local, let's concentrate on your those that are racing to the House of Assembly. How much grip do you have of these people, as in winning? Grip do you have on the local constituencies, as in winning because you need the majority.
The message we are giving
the majority in the House of Assembly.
The message we are giving to the people is the message of down ballot. In other words, vote APC throughout. And when you do that, those who have some bit of, luggage that may probably work against them will ride on the goodwill of the governorship candidate and still get it, because it is down ballot that we're preaching. It's the same down ballot we preached on the February 23rd election. It worked. 6 out of 9. That's an A, whether we like it or not. So if that worked for us on 23rd of February, we cannot afford not to preach the same message this time around.
In other words, you're not suggesting that some of them are not formidable enough?
It is not impossible that for some reasons the best may not have emerged as the candidate, because the various conditions that determine who become a candidate, in some places gender is a factor, and the popular candidate in that locality may actually be a male. So put everything together, you will begin to notice that some candidates are not as viable as the governorship candidate. But we are preaching the message of down the ballot, up, down, vote APC throughout. And with that, we believe whatever inadequacies some of our candidates may have, this message will help them scale through.
All right, so how far are you still going on with campaigning before the mandate?
We are done with reaching out to all the local governments. The only one that is remaining now is the grand rally for the whole state, which we hold in Abeokuta very soon, once we pick a suitable time to do that. Apart from that, there will be locations where there will be need for us to do a bit of revisit. We call it whistle stop. So those ones will happen. Between now and Thursday next week, when campaign shuts down, there can still be some emergency of such mode, all just to ensure that no space is left uncovered.
So what percentage are you actually looking at on March 9 for your candidate, for Prince Dr. Dapabiod?
If we have 6/9 now, which is 66.6%, we are thinking of 70-75.
What about the House of Assembly? Because we ask you, we will review these things.
We want everything.
We want the
26/26.
26.
That is what we're working to. We want 26/26.
None to PDP, none to ADC.
Ask them. They also want 26/26. That's a conspiracy theory. At the end of the day, somebody will have an edge over other. We believe that we will have an edge, but we're going into the contest wanting 26.
Okay, I cannot but ask this question. PDP is alleging that APC is working on 9 states that's trying to doctor results these presidential elections. Is your state one of them?
Ask them. They are the ones that raised the allegation. I don't know which state they're mentioning.
Okay.
You should be able to ask them.
So you want to tell us you want completely.
If they have any reason to believe that our victory is not foolproof, is not genuine, there is a place in law for that. Go to the tribunal. Don't be surprised. Some of the day one, we may still get it back, because we have reasons to believe that some results in some locations are not actually a true reflection of the popularity we have there. So we are going to challenge some of them.
In the law courts?
In the tribunal, definitely.
All right, now please, we want you to talk to the people now and tell them why they should or they must vote for Dr. Dapabiod.
Ogun State people, thank you very much for the support you have given us thus far. We love you, and we are appreciative of the fact that you loved us too. Thank you for what you did to us on Saturday. It was a very good show of love, but more of importance is the 9th of March. You have demonstrated that you have a mind of your own, and you have chosen to prefer the APC to every other party. It is in our interest that the government at the center is in synergy with the government at the state. Have no fear of what Prince Dapabiod will do as touching on his promises, other than he will fulfill all his promises. Vote APC all through, down the ballot. On the 9th of March, we will rejoice together.
That's a very good one. That's confidence. I'm talking to the people of Ogun State there. Honorable Remmy Hassan, former majority leader, Ogun State Deputy Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, currently spokesperson for Prince Dr. Dapabiod as APC Gubernatorial candidate, Ogun State. It's a pleasure having you again.
Always my pleasure to be here.
The next one may probably be your victory appearance.
And I'll be glad to come here and celebrate with all of you.
Yes. We believe so.
Thank you.
We believe so.
I believe you are not going to rest on your horse till March 9.
It is not over until it is over. It is what it is. It is not what it seems.
Okay. Thank you so much for being a part of the program, and we wish you all the best. And viewers, we want to thank you for being a part of the program. We have to call it a day here and now. Join us again on Wednesday for another edition. And by then, we would have known who the President of Nigeria will be. All right, so till then, I'm Jimoke Michael. See you then.
And I'm Banji Busaris. Bye-bye.
My good people of our great Ogun State, my name is Dapabiod. I want to serve you as your next door. Our state has come a long way and has a long way to go. I promise to give you a focused and qualitative governance while creating the enabling environment for a public public-private sector partnership, which is fundamental to the creation of an enduring economic development and individual prosperity of all Ogun citizens. I will not be a governor that will be far from you. I will be equitable in the development of infrastructure across our state. I will pay attention to the development of rural roads. As an accomplished entrepreneur, I will use my skills and contacts to attract more direct investment into our dear state. I will create industrial parks that will generate their own electricity and reduce unemployment. I will create farm settlements across the state that will also employ our teeming youth while feeding our citizens and exporting food to neighboring states. I will serve you honestly and diligently. It is time for us to work together. It is time to put the people first. Vote for me as your next governor, and I promise you an open administration that belongs to all of the people. In the cities, in the towns, in the farmlands, in the villages, and in all the rural communities. My word is my bond. And for me, a promise made will always be a promise kept.
Vote Dapo Abiodun as governor of Ogun State.